Yup, been there, done that. How to spot a recruiter during World Cup. Oh no, she's working. Man, this brings a lot of feels. Welcome back to another video. My name is Preston. I'm a professional recruiter in the technology industry. In this video, I'm excited and happy. Why? Because we're gonna go over yet again another group of recruiter memes to finish off this year. Make sure you continue to smile, laugh, all the way into 2023. Shout out to, again, Recruiter Kenny, one of the funniest accounts I've seen on Instagram. Make sure you go out and give him a follow. But if you're as excited as I am, please consider supporting a fellow recruiter. Give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. It really means a lot. Let's get started. Mentally, all recruiters are here. It's from the office, and one person is holding, Michael Scott's holding some drinks, and a couple people are just unfazed. You got Dwight behind the scenes wearing like an elf hat. And this is funny because this is what we feel like every single day, after a long day, after a long week, after a long month. As you know, if you've been following for a long time, we do a lot of things. Instead of just sending resumes to companies and just talking to one or two people a day, we're constantly doing juggling from sales to business development to more psychology to customer success, account management, negotiations, just being there for candidates or clients going through a tough time, acting like a semi-therapist. Like, we're just doing so many things at the same time, going a million miles an hour. Sometimes I don't remember who I am at the end of each day. Like, it just gets long, brutal, difficult. If I could just take a picture as composed as Mike Scott here, I think that's a win. But most of the days I look like either Dwight or the other two people flanking Mike Scott. But yeah, that's recruiting in a nutshell. Ooh, when hiring managers ask when I will fill the replacement, you got Will Ferrell cracking open a beer can. Sounds like a 2020 problem to me. Nope. It seems like a problem I never want to deal with. Let's push it back further than 2023. Let's think 24, 25, 26. Let's go all the way to 30. What this is actually referring to is a lot of times when you do contingency full-time placements, if the candidate you placed ends up getting fired, terminated, or just leaves, usually there's a clause in your agreement that you'll just agree to replace that candidate, whether for no extra charge or for an additional fee. Replacing a candidate is no fun because it's probably we either lucked out big time or it was just super hard to fill that position in the first place. Why do we just want to go through it all over again? And so usually when you do that, again, depending on the fee agreement contract, it's usually no extra fee involved. So you're doing all that extra work for no extra money, and it's just hard to remain incentivized and to keep delivering and go out and be persistent. Find a candidate you know will be very, very difficult from the get-go. So now when I'm shooting this, it's 2022. If I got a call from one of my clients saying, hey, we need your help to replace a candidate you helped recruit, I don't know, do I do it now or do I wait till next year? Maybe can I punt it later? Now, of course, I'll do it as best to my ability and fast as possible, but it's never a fun thing to do. When a candidate starts asking questions before reading the JD, oh, the pain, the pain. A lot of times the jobs that us recruiters are recruiting for, it's publicly available on the company's website, or if we have our own copy, we can send it to the candidate. When that happens and the candidate doesn't read it and start asking you all the questions, like, why are you asking the questions in the PDF? Just go to the career page and just read it. But sometimes I think people just like to hear the information relayed from another human being. And so I totally get that. But man, we have to deal with so many things at the same time. I understand that repeating the same thing where it's easily accessible in the email, the prep email, the JD, or the career page. Yeah, sometimes you'd be like, you know what? I'm gonna save my energy, just look at these resources and let's continue having conversation and just not go over all this kind of common information that you should have already known. When you convince the hiring manager to reschedule the interview, she's lying on the ground covered in dirt and your candidate ghosted again. No! Man, this brings a lot of feels. So as a recruiter, it's hard enough to find a candidate. It's hard enough to get that candidate to interview. But then once the candidate is set to interview and initially they're excited, hiring manager excited, and that doesn't happen because the candidate is no-show or ghosts, it's very, very difficult to then be like, you know what, hiring manager, I think something happened. I'm sure the candidate has a justifiable reason. Let's try to reschedule. We have to do damage control. I think one of the coolest things working with recruiters, and something that's not really talked about, is we do damage control. Like, we protect you as much as we can. So for any reason, if a candidate missed the interview, maybe they went out partying last night, maybe they just didn't show up, maybe they totally forgot, we will do our best to go back to the client saying, hey, our candidate is genuinely sorry, or it was a genuine mistake and they apologize and they would love nothing more than a reschedule. To do our best to reschedule, keep our candidates in the game, in the pipeline, in the process. And that's challenging because a lot of hiring managers, they have limited time too, and they're like, you know what, if you ghost on one interview, maybe I'll give you one chance, but a lot of them are like, like, you know what, if you can't even make decency or time to ghost without giving us a heads up or the courtesy, what makes me want to reschedule and do it all over again? But if they're able to be open-minded to us as recruiters, and we're able to do or provide justifiable reasons why the candidate could make it, a reschedule happens, it's a win, right? And then everyone's hoping and expecting that interview to happen. If the second time happens again and the candidate ghosts, then it just makes the recruiter look horrible. It can potentially hurt the relationship between the recruiter and the hiring manager, because now the hiring manager thinks like, wow, you're wasting my time. And then it just doesn't look good on the candidate. That candidate will not have a good impression. The hiring manager will not have a good impression on the recruiter. It's just like a bad situation. So don't ghost during interviews. At least if you can't make it, just give people a heads up. Call, text, email. It takes like less than 10 seconds. Just do it and you'll avoid a whole lot of possible blowback and hurt that's coming your way if that happens. I need answers. How to quit recruiting and yet still be able to pay your bills. I wonder too. That's a really, really good question. But why would you want to quit recruiting? I hope you don't want to quit recruiting. I love recruiting. It changed my life, and I hope it's changing a lot of other people's lives out there too, including other recruiters, other candidates, and other hiring managers. But I think the thing with recruiting is when you leave, there's so many other different types of roles and jobs and career paths that you could do, whether it's more psychology-based, whether it's more sales-based, whether it's more HR people-based. Like there's so many things that you could do. Why? Because as recruiters, we're doing so many things during the day with multiple candidates, with multiple clients, really helping you build and foster like a really great general skill set that can be fantastic in most other jobs. So I think if you quit recruiting, you shouldn't. But if you quit recruiting, then you can 100% find another job that can hopefully help you continue to pay your bills. But if you quit recruiting, I want to ask, what kind of recruiting are you quitting? Is it more agent side? Is it more RPO side? Is it more in-house side? There's so many different types of career paths and faces of recruiting. Not all recruiters love agencies. Not all recruiters love corporate. Not all recruiters love, outsourcing, RPOs, executive, etc. You can always find a place for you depending on what you're looking for and what you like. So if you're going to quit recruiting, hoping maybe you can find another recruiting job. If not, I have confidence that you'll find something that hopefully is more fulfilling and exciting to you long term. When people try to tell recruiters not to worry, I love that face. Would you tell the sky to stop being blue? Yeah, like we have to worry all the time. We're going through chronic stress, chronic anxiety. Why? Like we're always thinking like, man, is my client going to drop me? Is my client going to hire? Why did my client reject my candidate? Why did the candidate ghost? Does the candidate like me? What obstacles do I have to get through with the candidate to help them make that deal? Is the candidate even going to show up? Are they going to accept the counteroffer? Like, is negotiations going to happen? The client is considering another candidate, so now there's a bidding war. Like, how do I find a candidate? I can't find this person. This person doesn't even exist on planet Earth. Like, there's just so many things to worry about. I think at this point, I've done this long enough where I'm just honestly numb and used to it, which I think is a little bit sad. But yeah, like worrying, anxiety, stress, like honestly, those are my best friends. Probably terrible to say, but I'm just so used to it at this point. We just have a baseline of just like anxiety, stress, and worrying. And it would just be absolutely weird to like wake up one day, do recruiting, and not have those things. So yeah, it comes with the territory, it comes with the job. I think any jobs out there will always have some sort of like level of stress or things that you have to worry about. Recruiting, same thing, but we're just, because we're the middleman, we have to worry about not only one party, but we have to worry about, the clients, the company side, and the candidate side, and our own sanity at the same time. So there's a lot to juggle and a lot to kind of stay on top of. Thanksgiving, be grateful for what you have. Recruiters who have KPIs, sad kitty face, cautiously optimistic face. Yeah, KPIs, very common in the agency side, especially if it's like numbers driven, but also KPIs are really, really used just in the entire industry, specifically on the corporate and in-house side too. A lot of it, it can be like, hey, how many reach outs have you done? How many responses have you done? How many interviews have you done? How many offers upon submissions have you done? How many rejections? Like everything can be quantified and measured and tracked. And I think if you're juggling like so many different open positions, or you're just having a really difficult time filling like one specific role, KPIs unfortunately can also just be a reminder like you're not doing a good job, or you just have to like do better at this job that's just driving you crazy. Nobody likes KPIs. It's just forcing us to be accountable and look at things when we don't want to see them. It's essentially forcing our back against the wall to accept and look at hard truths that sometimes we just don't want to face or not be in the mood to face. So KPIs are good, keeps your progress on track, but also can remind you that you're not doing the best job job where you have to work harder or you have to change things up because whatever you're doing right now is not working and you never want to jeopardize your job. When a candidate is only available to talk during lunchtime, it's like a really angry guy with like 2 glasses of beverages in front of him, a whole plate full of food, and he's angry and frustrated because he can't eat. I mean, this is great. There are a lot of times where I don't even have time for breakfast or even lunch. Again, I know that sounds terrible. I do not advocate for it, but honestly, sometimes like I have 15, 16, 17, 18 calls on top of negotiations, on top of process calls, on top of sourcing. Like I don't even have time to eat. I just be grateful to breathe, to be honest. But I can totally empathize where this picture is coming from. If you're a recruiter, make sure you block out time to have breaks, to eat, because this job is relentless. It's just gonna keep on coming and you have to take care of the most important thing, yourself. You can't do a job well done if you can't take care of yourself, so make sure you get enough rest, R&R, sleep, and most importantly, eat. How to spot a recruiter during World Cup. Oh no, she's working. Yeah, so like recruiting is nonstop, right? Like there's never should be a reason for you not to know what to do. There's always something that you could do. Whether it's on the agency side, reach out to more candidates, reach out to more clients, or on the corporate side, reach out to more candidates, right? Like there's always something that you can do. Whether it's like optimizing job descriptions, whether it's doing process calls, whether it's like using new tools and strategies, or just simply like reaching out and sourcing more and more people. It's just never ending. And because of that, I think it's very easy to always have the wheel spinning during off times, evenings, weekends. It's very easy to go from, wow, I'm working during the business hours, to when it's off hours, like, oh my God, there's always something I could do more, because if I push now, if I work another hour or two, I'll be this much closer to find a candidate, then this much closer to interview, then this much closer to do deals, and then get paid, right? So it's just nonstop. And I think it's one of the most difficult aspects, I think, of recruiting. But I think if you have a chance to be able to manage it well, it could be extremely powerful, because it will really teach you like one of the biggest lessons when it comes to just time management, creating boundaries, and understanding when you should work and when you don't work. And then if you do work, it will inspire and incentivize you to work with a sense of more urgency and just intensity. And I think recruiting on the agency side, it's not just a sales job. To me, it's like an entrepreneurial sales job, because we running our own desk, especially if you are a full desk recruiter, you're responsible essentially for creating like something out of nothing. Running a full desk means you start, there's no clients, there's no candidates, and then through your effort alone, you have to create demand for clients, create demand for candidates, and then put them together. And things will only move forward if you push them forward. If you stop, things slow down. So that's why, like, wow, okay, if I have to keep working to keep moving this forward, but this is only just one relationship. What if you have 2, 3, 4 other clients who need help with 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 other roles? Then it's very easy to get into kind of like, I need to constantly, show up, do work, be consistent. But then when you have your off time, like, man, why am I out here with friends? Why am I out here watching a movie when I can just be sourcing more? It's very easy to constantly kind of get into the rhythm. And I think, first of all, it's completely normal if you go through it. I go through it constantly. I think over time and through trials and through different experimentation, you can see what works best, where you're like, hey, I know that like work is important. It doesn't have to be everything for me, especially if I have a family, a loved one, with friends. I have to just be able to massage that muscle on how to create better boundaries, or how to create specific work hours during the week, maybe on the weekends, to catch up and just stick with it without becoming all consuming. So I think it's a double-edged sword, but if you can be able to manage it well, and then you just kind of get used to it, then it can become a very, very powerful muscle and tool that you can leverage for other ventures and jobs in your career down the line. When a candidate scheduled the call way before office hours, then ghosted you. Yup. Been there, done that. Ever since 2020, when now a lot of companies are hiring remote, it's now just more common practice to just talk to candidates that are just, from all over the country, or sometimes all around the world. And I think with that comes talking to folks across different time zones. And I have so many times where I just had to schedule a call at 5, 6, or 7 a.m. or 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. only for the client or the candidate not to show up. Comes with the territory. It's not the best, very inconvenient. At least give us a heads up if you can't make it. But if it doesn't happen, just gotta bite your tongue and reschedule, and just, it comes with the territory, it comes with the game, it comes with the job. So there's honestly no point to complain about it. Just reschedule, get the job done, hope it doesn't happen all the time, and then just do the best that you can. Recruiters finally getting responses from candidates they messaged 6 months ago, the candidates that ghosted you. Yeah, there's so many times where like I would message someone 6 months ago, no responses. Maybe I might be follow up with them 6 months ago again, no responses. And then, just as an example, like 3-4 times this week, couple candidates from mid-level to senior reached out saying, hey, I'm now looking, I'm on the market, because crazy things are happening in tech if you haven't been noticing. Layoffs, companies slowing down, people are just getting more cold feet. If people who are just not engaged in the current job, they just want to get out of there. Like it's just creating this whole movement of just talent on the market. It would have been helpful nevertheless that if you weren't looking for a job, just respond saying, I'm not looking. I really appreciate all the candidates out there who at least made the time to say, I'm not looking. Feel free to follow back up. But regardless, if you reach out, we will still do our best to talk with you. If we can help, we'll totally help. I like to play this game called LinkedIn Roulette, which I email everyone after one key search. Will 0 or 50 suitable candidates reply? Nobody knows. It's risky. I like it. I think this is like the bare minimum sourcing strategy you can do. Whatever emails you have, 50, 100, 200, you just do basic searches and just fire them away and hope that kind of like fishing, you get a catch, you get a bite, and they could be like the one and you do a deal, hurrah. But even though this is possible to run your agency, the freelance, part-time, it's not sustainable. It's obviously not like a practice that you kind of want to continue over time. It's really, really, really about developing relationships on all sides, really going after people that are a good fit than just playing kind of a LinkedIn roulette. But I can see beginners, people who got into recruiting with no training. I can see how you can still make money doing this, but it's not the best. You're working with other human beings. Try to be respectful as much as possible and give value, and try not to waste people's time. And just go after a situation where there's the highest likelihood of chance instead of just like a 0 and 50 probability of wasting people's time. Congrats to these two under 25 recruiters who made it to year 2. Oh my gosh, 2 grandmas looking at a company. Honestly, in this day and age, I'm just surprised I still have hair, and the hair that I have, it's not completely gray, that I can still function, I can still have energy and work out after almost a decade of recruiting. I think recruiting is a phenomenal career. It's exciting, so many things are going on, but I was able to also uncover earlier in the video that's also very stressful, nail-biting, just anxiety-ridden. But again, no job is perfect, and I think you'll find reasons to do a certain job path and reasons not to, right? I think recruiting, we get paid to make a difference in people's lives. We get paid to find amazing talent for companies, and to see that company succeeds, to see that individual succeed, there's no better feeling out there. But it's stressful. There's tons going on, it's unpredictable, and I think for certain types of people, that could be extremely overwhelming, intense, and maybe just not the best path. And I think I've seen a lot of people come in and they just get burned out. I see a lot of people come in, they just get just deflated and down from all the rejections and failures. And I can see how if you don't find a way to manage that correctly, you can just feel old after a year. You feel like your aging is just accelerated after 2 years, right? When you could be doing something that's more slower paced and perhaps a better fit for you. So while I can totally agree, and I think this is a fun exaggeration of recruiting, yeah, it's stressful. Yeah, it's fast paced, but these are also the reasons why I love it. No day is the same. We can talk to amazing people every single day, and the fact that we get paid to do that is phenomenal. So either way, just make sure you use a lot of lotion, eat well, treat your body well, sleep well, so that if you are a recruiter, you can do this sustainably over the long term and hopefully not age into a grandpa and grandma in 1 to 2 years. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Always have fun making these videos. Make sure you go out and check Recruiter Kenny on Instagram and give him a shout out. If you want to see more of these videos or have additional questions, please feel free to support a fellow recruiter and give us a like, subscribe, click that bell. Really means a lot. As always, wishing you all a wonderful end of 2022, and we'll see you on the next one.